Hi everyone, thanks for watching. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the difference between leasehold versus freehold, and we're getting started on the other side. Hi everyone, Ugo Renze with Onyx Property Consultants powered by Keller Williams. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. I am a London-based property agent, and I put out weekly videos talking about the London property market, why this is such a fabulous place to live, to own property in London. And in today's topic, we're going to be talking about leasehold versus freehold. Now, this is something that many international buyers might not be familiar with because it's a concept, especially if you're buying from America, you might not have ever heard about. The closest thing it might come to is perhaps owning in a condo building, homeowners association fees. So the primary difference of ownership in the UK is a leasehold property versus a freehold. While freehold might be more common, since I'm London-based, we see a lot of leasehold properties, and it's something that buyers really should be aware of. The fundamental difference is that in a freehold, you own the land as well as the building. In a freehold situation, you only own the unit itself, but you don't own the underlying land. Where you typically find that is in a block of flats or a converted terrace property where you might own a flat, but you are also one of other flat holders. And the reason why the concept has come about is basically recognizing that there's still common areas that you're going to share, whether that's just the lobby when you come into a property, or the roof, or the front steps, or the exterior of the building. You're sharing that with other property owners. And so the idea is that basically, as a leaseholder, you're going to have a lease, which is the underlying term in which you have bought that property. Typically, leases go from 99 years to up to 999 years. But what we find is once a lease starts getting below 80 years, a lot of banks won't, or mortgage lenders will not lend against that property. So it is something that as a buyer, you want to make sure you understand if it's a leasehold or freehold, and then the term of the lease that's remaining. The other key component is when it is a leasehold, you're going to be responsible for service charges. And service charges are the cost of maintaining that building. While there's a management company, there might be a management company that's looking after it, they are going to pass on those costs to you as a leaseholder. Given that I'm a buying agent, I work with buyers and sellers where that can really become problematic. I've recently actually just sold a flat where their service charges were very high, and it really was a detriment to the amount of buyers that we're going to look at that property. Why? Because service charges is not something you can mortgage. It's going to be a cost that you're going to have to incur. Typically, twice a year the statement comes out, but it's not something you can roll into the cost of your mortgage. It's going to be on top of your mortgage. But in that situation, service charges are technically going to be a pass-through cost for the actual cost of the property, although they might be forecasting for the year ahead. So it should include things like building insurance, if there's communal cleaning that's happening, if there's gardening for communal areas and garden. If it's a porter, then the costs of the porter and maintaining and paying for that service. Those are all the things that come into it. And then when we talk about, say, a modern development or a purpose-built block that's got all the bells and whistles, such as a gym, there might be a cinema room, 24-hour portage, then you're going to be talking about probably service charges that are a lot higher. And the way we can help buyers compare that sometimes is on a price per square foot, so the service charges on a square footage basis, and kind of see what's normal for the level of services that they're getting. When you are a freeholder, again, you're more often going to find that in a situation where you own the entire property, so it's a single home. Then you're going to be the freeholder, and then you're going to be responsible for all those things such as building insurance and looking after the maintenance of it. But there's not going to be any real restrictions to it. The other thing that happens with a leasehold is that you've got a leasehold agreement that's going to dictate what you and the other leaseholders can do. A lot of times that might be something as restrictive as your ability to own a pet in your flat. Or one of the things I've seen in a situation is that leases might dictate that you have to, say, have carpeting if you're on the first floor of above, because if you have, say, hardwood floors, it might be very disruptive to the unit that lives below you. Or if in a balcony, you might not be able to hang out your washing or your laundry. So there's definitely going to be more restrictions. But the issue is in London, that's more often going to be the type of property that you find. The third hybrid is a share or freehold. And we often see that, say, in a converted terrace property where there might be only one or two or three flats, you might own a share of the freehold. So you still have an underlying lease that dictates what you can and cannot do, but you are the freeholder along with your other leaseholder. In that situation, you may or may not decide to hire a third-party management company to look after things, or you might just agree to, get quotes when it comes time to getting building insurance and things like that. So I hope that helps give you a little bit of taste of some of the restrictions and benefits of, or the differences of being a leasehold versus freehold. So those are some of the things you need to think about, including if you do have a shorter lease, looking into extending that lease. And so I'm going to include links below to be helpful to just give you a lease calculator, lease extension calculator, and what the cost might be. They're pretty substantial, so you do want to make sure you understand that. And I'm going to have a follow-on video that talks about that a bit more. That's Ugo Arinze with Onyx Property Consultants, powered by Keller Williams. Bye for now.